United Nations, because without teaching the military and having the permission of the military, none of this could ever take place, ladies and gentlemen, and you better wise up out there, because Grites is a Trojan horse, if you haven't figured that out already. Before Stage 1 closes, all citizen-owned guns will be banned. Understand that. Before Stage 1 closes, all citizen-owned guns will be banned. And that's part of what's really going on in Waco, Texas, aside from the Christian part of it. How safe will you be then? Public Law 87-297 is further explained in the State Department document called Publication 7277. And when I first talked about that on the Billy Goodman Happening on KVEG radio in Las Vegas, Nevada in 1989, Colonel Grites said I was crazy, said I was nuts. Your librarian can also furnish you a copy. Ask the librarian to get you a copy of, quote, the blueprint for the peace race, unquote. That is, quote, the blueprint for the peace race, unquote. It is a 35-page booklet printed by the United States Arms Control and Disarmament Agency as publication number 4. That's publication number 4, General Series 3, released May 1962. Publication number 4 is the unabridged version of State Department Document 7277, which is quite abridged. Both of these booklets explain how our military is to be reduced to 2.1 million men. China and the Soviets are to reduce to that level also. At this point, we are in stage number 1, at which time we are to transfer on a permanent basis 1/2 of our armed forces to be merged with the Russian and Chinese armies. In stage number 2, the remaining 1/2 of our armed forces is then turned over to the same Security Council of the United Nations. The person in charge of the merged armies must, by agreement, always be a Russian. Don't go away, folks. I've got to take a break. I will be right back after this very short pause. Well, by now you know you should be writing everything that you hear down, because this is a homework assignment, folks. All of you are going to have to go to the library and perform this task. All of you. Now, the world's smaller nations are to turn 100% of their armies over to the same Undersecretary of the Security Council in stage number 2. President George Bush, while he was president, and Admiral William J. Crowell referred to this process as being, quote, in transition, unquote. Now turn to page 558. That's page 558. On this page, in Volume 9 of the United States Code, read, quote, policy formulation, unquote. The directives there, written in 1963 to pacify objectors, are supposedly to restrain anyone from disarmament, reducing or limiting our armaments, or taking guns from the people, unless it is pursuant to the treaty-making power of the President, or if it is authorized by further legislation by the Congress. Well, you all know that Congress is passing gun legislation on an ongoing basis, introducing and passing it. And you also should know that the treaties were made long, long, long ago. In effect, according to the executive branch of the United States government and the Supreme Court, we are under the rule of the United Nations and the United Nations Charter. The Constitution, when it conflicts with the United Nations Charter or United Nations resolutions or a law passed by the United Nations, does not apply, period. Now, you may take affront to that, but I'm sorry, folks, it's fact. You see, we're already part of the New World Order. They just haven't bothered to tell the American people. Many of you know that. You also know it's all illegal. It's all wrong. But if everybody in the legal branch of the government agree with it and conform to it, then it is, for all intents and purposes, a foregone fact, irregardless of what we think about it. Every couple of years, the House of Representatives votes to appropriate funds for this ongoing program. Now, since Public Law 87-297 was first passed into law in 1961, there have been 18 updates to it, all bad. 18 updates to Public Law 87-297, and all bad. And most of these updates, none of the public, and I mean none, know anything about it. With no deletions of these issues that I lay before you now. The Congress knows that the plan includes the policing of the United States by foreign troops under the banner of the United Nations, and they've known it for many, many years. The World Army that they're forming. The Congress is allowing our military bases to be closed down, except for those which will be used by the World Army. You will find that plan in publication 7277 and, quote, the blueprint for the peace race, unquote. That's the title of the unabridged version of 7277. Now, if Clinton and the Congress can promote a constitutional convention, you will find yourself with two new constitutions, communist in structure, just like I have been predicting for years, the one-world totalitarian socialist state. You see, everything that's happened in Eastern Europe and what used to be the Soviet bloc was all planned, folks. It came from the top down. And in a nation that's totalitarian in nature, that did not have its currency floated on the international money market, cannot fail, because the ruble is worth what they say it's worth. You see, this was engineered to get the American people to go along with what's happening now. You see, there has been no demobilization of what used to be the Soviet Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. No demobilization at all. No dismantling of their equipment, atomic weapons, missiles, tanks, submarines, Navy, anything. Nothing. You see, we're the only ones disarming, like a bunch of fools. And we're going to be sorry for it very quickly. Very, very quickly. You see, folks, in one states in Article 8, Section 12, quote, no person shall bear arms or possess lethal weapons except the police and members of the armed forces, unquote. The Congress has praised these documents and is on record in Senate hearings seeking ways to install these constitutions. They're on record looking for ways to replace our Constitution and install these in its place. Ask your librarian for, quote, revisions of the United Nations Charter, hearings before a subcommittee, foreign relations, February 2-20, 1950, United States Government Printing Office. Nothing has changed since, and they are still viable. Now let me tell you that again, just in case you didn't get it. Ask your librarian for, quote, revision of the United Nations Charter, hearings before a subcommittee, foreign relations, February 2-20, 1950, United States Government Printing Office, unquote. As a matter of fact, folks, George Bush's father helped push Public Law 87-297 through in the Congress when he was the senator from Connecticut, Senator Prescott Bush. The librarian can furnish you with a copy of the voting record of Public Law 87-297. You see how easy research is, folks? You have at your fingertips in your own public library and through the interlibrary loan system everything and anything you need to come up with all you need to understand what's happening in the world today. It's a fact. But most of you are just too damn lazy to go do it, and it makes me angry. Makes me angry. Now, those of you who have been doing it, you know, of course, I'm not talking to you, and it's always been my contention that when I say something like this, if it makes you angry,